as always, I forgot to start recording and explain what the hell I'm doing before I started. That's an 8-inch lawnmower wheel. Old air tank or air compressor that took a crap. Of course, I'll have to cut that off and weld a cap over it to make it go on the center. I'm gonna cut that wheel on that line. Then I'm gonna add a ring to it to make it about 3 inches anyways. 2.5, 3 inches. It's gonna be for a smoke collar, or you can put a pipe on, 8-inch pipe on it. I'm gonna cut this probably right about along the bottom of that sticker, and then I gotta make maybe just a little taller, maybe about along that sticker be fine. And I gotta make a stand for it. I did some swapping with a feller and traded him my drum forge, and he wanted he's going to use it in his shop, so he wanted a hood, if you will, like a grease hood on a cook stove. But he wanted a hood that'll set over top of it and take the smoke outside, or the fumes, the carbon monoxide, all that bad shit. So this air tank is the exact size, roughly. I ain't gonna say exact, but it's roughly the size of that drum forge. This will save me a lot of work manufacturing or fabric cobbling a hood otherwise. I've got some hinges somewhere. I'm gonna cut a little, I call it a rake door, little door where he can open it up and rake his coal around, or his charcoal. So he's going to use lump charcoal, so make him a little door where he can open it up and rake his charcoal around, get it over top of his workpiece. But he was well happy with the stand I made for the forge, or seemed to be. So we will see. I cut the top piece. There was a handle and stuff where the compressor motor sat on top of that, right there, that handle. I cut that off the top of it. Well, I just cut the welds and took that off. I'll use that handle for something else, 'cause it's already bent and stuff. I'm going to cut this off before I cut the hole for this. This here piece, it'll weld to the top, or I'll booger it to the top anyways. Then I'll patch it. Then I'll patch that hole for that. But I want the rim to sit right middle of that dome so that the smoke fumes come up. If he's burning good, shouldn't be much smoke. But charcoal don't always burn good, so yeah, I'll do more video here directly. Well, there we go. I was going to cut that off that way, but I was running out of cut disc, and it's easier to cut the thinner stuff, which that's still not too thin. That's pretty thick, but it's easier to cut that than it is that collar, or that fitting, or whatever, coupler, or whatever. We're ready to mark this hole, and this don't have to be perfect, but I'll make it as close to perfect as I can. Then the next step will be weld that on, weld a cover over that, weld that on, weld that nipple there shut, cut it, I'm just going to use 3 legs, that way it don't teeter-totter, and then after that, I'll make the door. When you make a door, you always cut the one where the hinges go, weld the hinges first, and then cut the rest of the door. Works much gooder that way. Now, this don't have to be airtight. It just have to direct the smoke out of his shop. So that's what the intention is. And I've got like 3% battery, so I'll do more video tomorrow probably. I might be able to squeeze in a little clip after I cut the hole, but we'll see. Yep, I got the hole cut out-ish. I'll do a little more grinding on it, get it prettier. But get it hole little more opened up so that there's no obstruction for the smoke or the fumes or the smoke or whatever to go out. So I'll grind the hole out a little more, patch that, weld that ring to it, then I'll take some more metal and go inside it to make it taller. But that way an 8-inch pipe will go down over it. Now I'll cut it. Well, get rid of more paint before I cut it. I could burn it off, but it's too damn hot to build a fire right now. So I'll grind it. I got a mask that I've not been wearing at all today. So anyways, there's that much. I'll get some more tomorrow. I'm making that shit. Hold on. Making that patch piece for this. I'm gonna cut that corner there off and just weld it in there. It ain't gotta be nothing spectacular. Not building a mansion, but it's a new day, as you can see. I think it was dark last night when I quit. Yeah. Well, I got that filled in. It was right here. Went there to that point there. From there to there. I tried to make it unnoticeable, but I don't think I accomplished that. It does look a lot better than just sticking it over there and booger welding it. Urchfab, I think I said his name. I'll put a link to his video where I seen how to do this. Now, he does it a lot better than I do, so I'm still learning, but I'll give him a shout out in this video because I like his videos, and he's a lot more fun to watch than some of the other YouTube welders. I won't mention any names, but some of them are just dicks. But yeah, more to come. I've developed some issues with the electrical for my welder. It's throwing the breaker, so I'm not I'm trying to rush, I guess. I need to slow down. Some of my weld looks decent. Most of it looks like I need to slow down, and that was a horrible, horrible patch of wire. I could not get it to run right, so I switched out the roll. I'm gonna grind that out. I am grinding that out and redoing it. Plus I was going too fast. This is where I cut that thing off, that piece that was the top plate. But I've marked some spots where I need to go back and touch up the weld. I'm not a skilled welder. I am still learning. So I'm getting there maybe, but I'm not skilled yet. All that is a couple 3 passes. I'm gonna grind all the weld. I'm not just gonna grind that spot over there. I'm gonna grind it all, and wherever needs some touch up, I'm gonna touch it up. This has just got to be, it's got to vent the smoke, the fumes, carbon monoxide out of his shop. That's all it's got to do. It's not got to be pretty, but I want it to look better than that. I'm a better grinder than I am a welder. Well, got the collar all welded on, except for right there. I burnt through like an idiot. Yes, I know those are not pretty welds, but they're not going to leak, at least not smoke anyways. Next step will be to cut it off, then cut one spot for the door, weld the hinge, then cut the rest of the door out. Then weld something on the inside to patch up where I just cut for the door. The door will allow him to not have to move the hood as much. Get his earplugs out. But yeah, hopefully I'll cut it tomorrow. In video that looks crooked as shit, but it's the way it's sitting. I did measure. Anyways, tomorrow I'll cut it, cut the door, and start on the legs. I'm getting it ready to cut off. It's going to be 16 from the very top, 16 inches from the very top to the bottom. I got my mask on, so bear with me. I'm getting the powder coat ground off so I can mark my line to get a good straight cut. I'll be back. Shoo! Let me tell you, if you have never cut down a pipe like that or any cylindrical item, it is not as easy as you would think. I mean, not with a 4.5 inch angle grinder. It kind of sucks. Kind of sucks. But I did it, and it's almost straight-ish. Just that piece there's heavy as not. But that's good. It's thick metal. It's about 3/16, which means it'll last. It's at least an eighth, but I'd say if I was guessing about 3/16. There goes to show how good the penetration is inside from where I welded that piece of rim to it. My machine's a good machine. I just got to learn to use it better. These here are the factory welds where they had that bracket on there. All this ring is mine. But yeah, it's sticking. There's that patch I put in. Right there. I'll dress that a little bit. I ain't worried about the inside. The wind's blowing, I know, sorry. But this will give me plenty of room. It's approximately 16 inches from the top of the ring to here, approximately. It may be different, but yeah, that's 3/16, or what one would call 3/16. It's good heavy steel. It'll last for a long time, good long time, hopefully, and hopefully the customer is happy with it. I've showed him my crap welds. I mean, they're not crap, but they're not great. You can see the penetration, but they're not great welds. So he says I asked him if he needed it pretty. He said it's already pretty, so it tells me it'll suit him just fine. I mean, it's not a structural piece. It's just I will not do any structural welding. You got a trailer that needs fixed, take it to Jason down the road. I'm not doing it. Unless it's you want something ugly added to it. But nothing structural. I'm not that skilled. Next I'll make the first slit for the door and see if I can't wrangle up another hinge. Here's what I was talking about, welding the hinge before you cut the whole door out. I got that line cut. I centered it up. I welded the hinge to the frame. Now I'll cut the rest of the door out. The door's just going to be big enough. This sticker's the door. Of course, I'll get rid of all the sticker after I'm using the sticker to cut because it was put on fairly straight. I'll go by the sticker. Once I've got the door cut, I'm going to take some sheet metal of some sort and go on the inside to make where it'll somewhat seal. I'm not going to put any smoke rope on it or nothing like that because it's not that important. The forge breathes through the bottom. There's holes in the bottom of the drum. That's where the forge plus it'll have forced air coming from the bottom. So I don't need to make ventilation holes in this. This is just to direct the smoke out a flue pipe, an 8-inch flue pipe. Customer wanted an 8-inch. I've seen it done with a 6-inch, but he wants 8-inch, so I took an 8-inch wheel and made a collar. I'm going to try to find some more sheet metal to make the collar taller. I'll just weld it to the inside here. I'm going to stitch weld it. I'm not going to weld it. This wire gets expensive. On the hinge, all I did was put some stitch welds here and there. Welded the holes. Need to spot that one again. And then stitch weld there, a little bit down here. Welded the two. There was only 2 holes on this side. There was 3 on that. Somebody drilled one, so I just welded it up. I'm gonna stitch that or spot that hole there. A little bit I missed. Then this is not a heavy duty hinge, but it don't have to be because that door is going to weigh all of about 3 ounces. So it's just 3/16 steel. But yep, there's the hinge. If you weld the hinge first, the door, but that hinge is shit. Well, I should have used a better hinge, but the door, after I file down the angle of the cut, will open and close the way it's supposed to. hopefully. Hopefully, but anyways, it's supposed to. That's how I've always seen it done. But I've got to grind down the cut, the opening and stuff. And there it is. Okay, I made the square frame, and I made that so that this wouldn't slide down in the drum or the forge. And I told you I could figure out how to weld. That's a fairly decent bead. And I didn't show making the not so square frame because it's not really square. But it'll work. This here, I'll put a piece of sheet metal down or something. I'll find something to put there. I had to, because I don't have a square, my square's in my truck, I had to use my magnet, and it wasn't so square, so I had to cut holes to get the corners to match up. But like I said, not building a house or a mansion, kind of just building an outhouse. But customer come looked at it earlier and was well pleased with the progress so far. And I'll finish it probably tonight, maybe morning. I'm almost really all done but the crying, really. Gotta weld 3 more sides. I got them all spot welded, but I gotta weld 3 more sides. Then find something to cover those holes. I've got some 1/8 inch steel somewhere if I can find it that'll work great. So we'll see. Yeah, I got all those fillers welded in. This one here was about the worst weld. I kept burning through. Well, that one back there I had to do some fill-in work on it too. I kept burning through those two, and I couldn't figure out why. Well, the way I built my welder stand, I put this. See what happens? I had my heat turned up to like 19 or 20. It was too high. Way too high. Because I'm welding 1/8 to 3/16. That angle is 3/16. Well, it's not exactly 3/16. It's kind of in between 1/8 and 3/16. But it's thicker than the 1/8. And it's harder steel. It's bed frame angle is what it is. So it's harder steel. It's not easier to weld. Just it'll take more heat than that plate would. But the base is all welded up. I've got a little cleanup to do back there on that corner on the welds. I'm grinding them down, that way he can sit. Hell, he can put his coffee there and keep it warm if he wants to. And I'm just going to put one stop. I talked it over with the customer, and he said just the one door stop, because this will let it keep, having that little bit of gap there, and there, will let it draw. Of course, it's going to be forced air from the bottom, but that'll let it draw and keep the fire honest, I guess. Those aren't the best welds, but they're not my worst. I haven't cleaned the spatter up, and I'm gonna hit right there again. I got a few spots to touch up, but I'm learning my machine. It's getting better. I showed him the hinge when he was here yesterday. he said that's fine. It's not a mansion, as he said. I've got one hole on that to fill in too, on the collar. I call it a collar, you call it whatever. Then I got to weld a handle to this and cut a hole in it. That's going to be the base. I made a base, but this will work better because it'll have wheels. So there we go. I'll finish this up, this part and this part, before I do any more video, because it's getting quite long. To help battle burn through and warpage, I'm just going to plug weld this. I've drilled 3 holes. That'll be plenty to hold that door stop, to keep the door from going all the way through. That'll be plenty. But after that, little cleanup grinding and a few touch-up spots. Welding's done on this. Well, the top's done. I did plug that hole. You can't even tell where it was. It was right there. I plugged it with a bolt, welded it, ground it down. Good to go. I'll show this when I'm done. Yeah. There's the handle. There's those plug welds I was talking about doing. I did them. There's the handle to open and shut the door. It's hotter than piss right now, so I ain't gonna open it. But yeah, there it is. Well, there it is, finished product. I've got the I've got the wrench tight. So that it stays on there. Of course, y'all have seen all the hinge and all that. The base, I had to cut a hole in the back and weld the handle that was on top of the air compressor to the side there. So I did some vertical uphills, maximum penetration, did decent beads. But there'll be about another 8 or 10 inches above that because the drum, the forge. But that is a finished product. I've sent a photo to the customer. He's very pleased. Very pleased. Which makes me happy. And then if he's not pleased when he gets here tomorrow to pick it up, I'll do an update video and say, well, I suck. But I'm not painting it. In fact, he's going to have to build a big hot fire inside it and burn all the powder coat off. Then he can paint it with some high heat engine paint or grill paint or something like that. But that knob there, I meant to put that in the back, but I'm kind of glad I put it in the front. Be a good place to hang something. Should have put it to the side, but I didn't. But anyways, there it is. Y'all thumbs up, like, share, comment, subscribe. Get your buddies to subscribe. Haven't hit that 500 mark yet to do the giveaway, but as soon as I hit it, I got that copper plug polished up for all my recycling watchers. But y'all, thanks for watching. Have a good time. Wear protection.